This is TWiT.
Well, as expected, Apple rolled out a new payment system called Apple Pay. Jake Davidson writes for Money, and Elizabeth Dexheimer is a reporter from Bloomberg News, and they both join us now. Welcome to you both.
Hi, Mike. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, Jake, what is Apple Pay exactly?
So Apple Pay is Apple's new payment platform, and it seems like what you'll do is you'll sort of take a picture of your credit card or load it onto the device in another way through Passbook, and then you'll go to the store, you'll wave it in front of an NFC transmitter that they'll have there, and then you'll have paid for your goods and you can just leave.
Now, Elizabeth, you cover finance and the banking industry and so on. How does Apple Pay, do you think, affect the payments industry? How does this event change everything in that industry?
Well, when you think about the payments industry, the fee structure and kind of who pays for what is very complex. And some of the details that have emerged, since this was announced, is that Apple is really introducing a new fee to the structure that's in place now. That banks are going to be, or Apple will be getting a fee from banks that issue credit and debit cards for every transaction that you make with the new iPhone.
Now, Elizabeth, you wrote about the inevitable fee that Apple will skim off of each transaction. What do we know about that? We don't know how much it is, right? And what do we know about it?
Well, just like with really any sort of agreement, it really is, between, it will be different between each, issuer and Apple. And, I think, again, kind of what this kind of the bigger picture here is that it is, it's an additional fee. It's added on to what is already a very lucrative industry. I mean, to give you some kind of sense, they expect their numbers out there. It could reach as much as $90 billion by 2017. So this is just a very fast-growing piece of the payments industry, and Apple is certainly going to be getting a piece of that.
Now, Jake, is Apple Pay U.S. or international? What's the scope of this thing?
So Apple Pay is U.S., and it's not a whole lot of the U.S. in that. It's only about 2.4% of retailers, about 220,000 stores. So they've gotten a lot of the big guys on board with McDonald's and Walgreens, but most stores in the U.S. still won't accept it, at least out of the gate.
Interesting. Now, what do you think, Jake, that this is going to do for Apple's revenue? Will this become a significant percentage of their income anytime soon?
So I think we don't know too much about the payment structure yet, but at least based on previous companies like Square, this isn't a great business to get into for profit. And now Apple has such a large scale that might not be true, but you end up taking such a small percentage because the credit card companies are going to take 2%, and merchants don't want to pay much more than that. So you're going to get a fraction of a percent off every sale. That's not a huge revenue stream, and Square's learned that the hard way, and they've lost quite a lot of money trying to make a profit off this business.
Now, Elizabeth, Apple brags that they have 800 million credit cards on file, and that's one of the reasons why they're a hefty superpower in the world of online payments, theoretically. They also introduced a new feature where you take a picture of your credit card, you can add more credit cards. Do those additional credit cards count in the same way as Apple's currently existing credit cards? I mean, right now, I have a credit card on file at Apple for iTunes, right? So I went there and I entered in the number and I entered in the secret 3-digit code, my name, and the expiration date and all that stuff. So they definitely have my credit card information. If I take a picture of another card using Apple Pay, do they have access to that information to the same degree that they have the other credit card that I previously entered?
No, they will not be the data. They will not be have access to as part of the new security feature that's part of the new iPhone. Apple will not be accessing the consumer data.
Now, Jake, in the wake of the iCloud hacking scandal, I think a lot of people are wondering whether they can trust Apple with their financial data. What do you think? Can we trust Apple?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to start with Jacob, and then we're going to go to you, Elizabeth, afterwards.
I think, trusting Apple, any company can theoretically be hacked, as we're learning. JP Morgan was hacked the other day by Russians. It's, anything is possible. But this technology is safer than what we're doing right now, and there's no question about that. The technology basically creates a single-use credit card number that goes through. and it's a lot safer than storing your actual credit card number. And the person on the other end, or the person swiping the card, never actually sees your card or card number. So it's also safer in that way.
Elizabeth, do you have a view on that? Can we trust Apple, or do we need to?
Well, I don't have a view so much, but I will just point out that that the security feature of using a token that digitally scrambles the consumer data, the credit card information, that is something that the card companies, American Express, Visa, and MasterCard, they introduced standards for this system previously, and will be potentially rolling it out with with other products as well. So
Jacob?
it's not just unique to Apple.
Gotcha. Jacob Davidson writes at money.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at Jake D. Thank you so much for joining us, Jacob Davidson.
Thanks a lot.
All right, and Elizabeth Dexheimer is at Bloomberg.com, and you can follow her on Twitter at edexheimer. And thank you for coming on Tech News Today, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much.
All right.